Hey everybody, welcome on back to Buzz the Noob. I am Buzz the Noob, and I am here to give you all the news and updates that's been going on this week. And oh my goodness, is there so many of them. There have been developer interviews, there have been blue posts, there's been clarifications on all kinds of stuff, there's been tweets. It's been a crazy week. There's a lot to go into. I know I'm not going to be able to cover it all. I'm going to cover some of my big bullet points that I think are really important, but please definitely go check out Wowhead. Read up on anything else that you're missing out on. I know I'm not covering things like cosmetic changes, and I'm not really touching on the covenants or anything like that. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm still not covering on, but I've only got a short time frame to do it, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So one of the big questions that people have been asking, when is corruptions going away? When is the essences and Azerite power going away? Is it going to work like it did coming from Legion into BFA where it was to 105? We've had those answers. And they're actually, in my opinion, I think they're pretty good answers. So in an interview with Panda TV, Ian said that corruption is going to be removed in the pre-patch. So come 9.0, when we get our level squish and everything else, corruption's done. Okay, which makes sense lore-wise too when you think about it, because we've defeated N'Zoth lore-wise. Whether or not you've actually done it or not, in material, we've actually done it lore-wise. Why would we still have his corruption on our gear? It should all be deactivated at that point. So that's good. I really like that. Essences and Azerite powers, however, will continue to work until we go into the Shadowlands. Again, lore-wise, I really think that is a good idea. That came out of the same interview. And the reason I think that's a good idea is because, again, lore-wise, those powers, those come from Azeroth. So once we are no longer in Azeroth, they're not going to be able to work. She's not going to be able to provide us that temporary power, that borrowed power, if you will. But it's just not going to be there anymore. So there is that. So there has been some changes to Pathfinder. So that's been another big question. How is Pathfinder going to work? Is it going to be 2 stages? Now, we didn't get the full answer, and this came from an interview with John Haidt from Hazelnutty Games. So basically, short answer is, and the long answer is up on the screen right now, so you're going to be able to read the whole thing if you want. It's now going to be based off your Covenant Renown. And your Covenant Renown is you're standing in your Covenant, and you're going to be able to get that by a couple different ways. That's still murky. And we'll find out, obviously, more next week with the beta. And I'm sure the alpha testers are finding out more on how to do it right now. But we, the general public, don't really know how that's going to work right this second. So do keep that in mind as well, that will be going in there, and that's going to be how we get Pathfinder. Now, it wasn't clear whether there's going to be a 2-step Pathfinder or just 1-step Pathfinder, and I'm really hoping, please, Blizzard, since you're going to force me into Pathfinder anyways, let it be 1 step. Just 1 step. That's all we need. We do not need this 2-step garbage. Okay, we really don't need the 1-step garbage, but okay, let's compromise. Let's do 1. Okay. In the 9.0 realm, let's talk about legendaries. So we know we're getting legendaries, and we kind of had an idea of how we're getting them. But there has been a big old long blue post here, and it is talking about how we get our legendaries. And this is a long blue post, guys. So basically, again, we're going to meet the Rune Carver. He's in Torghast. We're going to go through an initial experience to get him. To craft legendary armor, you'll first need to retrieve specific memories that contain legendary powers. These memories can be found all over Shadowlands, from questing, running dungeons with friends, fighting against the enemy faction, or defeating powerful foes in Castle Netharia and the Maw. There will be plenty of work for the bravest of champions to do in order to collect them all. Once found, players can take these memories back to the Rune Carver, who will then be able to imbue specific profession-crafted armor pieces with this power. Not all power can be applied to all armor slots, And for example, some powers can only be applied to boots and pants. Okay, that's That's an interesting decision, but okay, why not? Legendary powers available to players in Shadowlands have strong ties to the history of Azeroth, as they are memories in their base form. These legendary powers are new interpretations of set bonuses, legendaries, and other powers that players have had access to in World of Warcraft's history. In addition to these more historic powers, players will also be able to unlock a few Torghast anima powers as possible legendary powers. Okay, so that's kind of the spill of what it's going to be. To craft our legendaries, we'll have to gather a few materials first. We're going to have to get the base item from our blacksmith, leather workers, tailors, and jewel crafters. So I guess we can make a legendary ring. These items are not soulbound and can be acquired from other players' alts or the auction house. We have to find the legendary power of your choosing, which is what I just read. We have to get 2 optional reagents, and those are going to dictate the secondary stats, like, secondary stats are what they are. And a Caracus. The raw source of power is used to fuel the rune carver's chamber as it is needed to craft legendary armor. Caracus, I'm probably saying that wrong, is found in Torghast as a reward for completing sections of the tower. As the item level of the base item increases, so does the required fuel to create legendaries, so players will need more of the Caracus as they start crafting higher item level pieces. Okay, so that's really good. Okay, it does still state we are still at this time only able to wear 1 legendary piece of armor at a time, and powers cannot be applied to weapons or trinkets. Okay, so there'll be, I don't have any doubt that we will end up having more legendary items that we'll be able to wear later down the road, just like in Legion we started with 1, and I think we ended with, was it 3? It's 3, right? Was it 2 or 3? Whatever. I don't remember, but we were able to wear more than 1 as we got down the road. Ian clarified, too, about legendaries. That legendary powers will be account-wide from the word go. Alright? So, flat out, once you learn a recipe, that's it. You're good to go. You know it, and your alts know it. You don't have to worry about it anymore, which is really good. That's just another way I think Shadowlands is going to be a lot more alt-friendly than it has been. Ian also talked in an interview with Wowhead about legendaries in Shadowlands. And so Wowhead asked him, since legendaries are one of the core in-game systems in Shadowlands, and while we don't know everything about the system, we've started to find legendary Runeforge powers. What is to encourage players to choose utility or otherwise non-performance related legendary powers over raw throughput options like in Legion? Okay. And that's a good question. He said the big difference is control over what you want to pursue. Odds are good that players crafting their first legendary will not pick a purely utility power, and that's fine. I think a flaw of the Legion system was the fact that without player agency, a ring that makes your corruption snare was placed in the same bucket as something that's mathematically a 6 to 8 DPS increase. Now, there are many situations where the corruption ring was invaluable. If you were doing the Agrimar encounter in Antorus, you wanted your warlocks to wear that. It was incredibly valuable to the raid. The same way you often see players spec into talents for raid utility and solve problems at the expense of personal throughput, the ability to make multiple legendaries over the course of a given tier with an equipped limit of 1, create interesting decisions, but players have control over these decisions. We can make the utility legendaries powerful enough that when you're in situational space, they are worth equipping. We haven't figured out the exact rate of acquisition. Some of it will depend on how much Torghast you're doing and how successful you are. But the idea is that it will be faster acquisition than Legion legendaries, thank goodness. Certainly at the start of Legion, you will have a collection of them the way you... Certainly at the start of Legion. Oh, okay. You will have a collection of them the way you did in Legion, except it will be a collection you decided to build. So then Wowhead went on and asked about loot drop rates. Because a couple months ago, Ian had said, let loot be loot. Okay? Trying to simplify the system, because Warforging sucked. Titan Forging sucked. Corruption, well, is ridiculous. And you can do some stupid amounts of damage. You know, when my tanks are hitting their Twilight Dev and I've got a couple go off at the same time, I'm pulling 100-something K damage as a tank. That shouldn't happen. I'm just saying. Shouldn't happen. Any rate, so we're talking about that quote exactly. So let me read the question to you guys. So Wildhead said, a few months ago we heard about the loot system with a simplification of some types of loot and fewer pieces dropping. Have you figured out how many fewer pieces of loot players will be getting from sources in Shadowlands like Mythic Plus, and do you see conflicts with less loot and personal loot because of this? I'm glad they added in the personal loot question, because no, I'm not a Mythic Raider, but Lord Almighty, does it upset me when I cannot trade something to my friend that doesn't have the stats I want on it, but because it's a 5 item level increase, I can't give it to him. It's not what I want. It's got crit and friggin' verse on it, and I don't want that on my pally. I want haste and mastery. So why do I have to keep it? That's frustrating. Any rate, but they asked about it, and guess what? We're staying with personal loot. So yeah, we'll keep fighting the fight though. So Ian's response to the question was, so the exact quantities are still evolving. He says, please don't quote me 100% on this. So, you know, I guess we're totally disregarding what he said. But notably for Mythic Plus, it will be one item from the end of run chest that is repeatable. The weekly loot chest will still have a greater selection of items to choose from still one a week, so it's still one chest a week. But that should be a more reliable source of upgrades, since you can pick the best one that suits your needs out of a wider range of things you've earned. We're continuing with personal loot and tradability. But the baseline reasons for moving away from group, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not going to talk about his crazy idea that, you know, look, I get it. We've all been in that pug group where it's like, oh, I'm just going to take all the loot and leave the group. That's a toxic person. They don't deserve to be played with. Or teach them a lesson. I don't care. It's annoying. Go back to personal loot. At least in guild raids. Come on, give us that much. I know you can make it happen. I know you could. So, yeah. That was about the loot. Blizzard also on Wowhead. I'm not going to talk on this a whole lot because this video is already getting longer than I want it to be. But Blizzard has posted Covenant previews for all the Covenants. They're all over on Wowhead, so they're real convenient for you to find too. So I'm going to link post the Wowhead link down below because I pulled a lot of my information off there anyways. But that's where you guys can go and find that. Another cool change. Well, let's talk more about Covenants. I'm sorry. So Paul Cubitt, in an interview with Avalon, I'm probably saying his name wrong, but he's like Russian or something, so sorry. He did clarify again that leaving a covenant is going to be easy. Not a big deal to leave a covenant. However, if you want to get back into a covenant, that is going to be difficult. Now, what do they mean by that? They said they didn't know. Paul said he didn't know. They haven't figured that out yet. Is it going to cost us a whole bunch of money? Is it going to cost us some, which wouldn't make a whole lot of sense? Is there going to be like a whole bunch of redemption quests we have to do? Which is going to be interesting, right? That would actually be kind of fun, just to quit a covenant to jump right back in it to see what they do. But they haven't said what that's going to be or what that's going to look like yet. So we're going to find out. We're going to check it out and see. Yeah. So less going into Shadowlands stuff right now. Couple things that are just going. They're kind of not. They don't really affect gameplay anyway. They're just kind of cool. Well, one's cool and one's going to be extremely controversial. So let's talk about the cool one first. So your artifact transmogs. So as you can see on my pally here, if I can find my World of Warcraft screen, is that we have my artifact weapon equipped. You know, one of the Mogs for it. Now it's just a plain Jane one, but it looked pretty good with this Mog. So you know, don't kill me too much for that. So that's my artifact weapon, but I can only use it as a protection paladin. Which, you know, Holy Pallies can use a sword and board. Why can't he Mog it? Why can't my Ret? Well, I know why my Ret can't, because he's using a two-hander. You know, but why can't my Ret use my Silver Hand? And why can't I use an Ashbringer on my Holy Pally? It's this stupid rule, and they've decided to stop it. So they didn't say when, but I'm assuming with 9.0 that artifact transmogs will now be class-wide and not spec-specific. So hey, that's a good thing. It's fun. So your Holy Pallies can run around with the Ashbringer. Every shaman in the world can carry the Doomhammer. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all good. That's going to be fun. But the controversial one, and the one that's going to upset people, is that heirlooms will no longer give XP bonuses come Shadowlands. The reasoning behind it, according to Morgan Day, because he was being interviewed by Mr. GM when this came up, is that with the level squish and the way that leveling now works in Shadowlands, because we've had people level through the alpha in, I believe, like 13 hours. Now, he's a speed leveler. He's probably faster than me. Probably faster than most of us. So let's just figure it averages out to, honestly, 20 hours from 1 to 60. Or 24 hours. We'll just say 24 hours from 1 to 60 to totally level up. Well, if you add on the heirloom bonuses, you're going to be down to like ridiculously fast. And yes, we all want to get to end game. I understand that. But they want you to be able to play through it too. And they've redesigned it so that you get an entire expansion storyline without the heirloom bonuses. And I think that's another reason they're doing it. They want you to be able to do an entire expansion. They want you to be able to do all of the Wrath of the Lich King, all of Burning Crusade, all of Mop or Warlords, or whatever your favorite one is, or whatever story you're most curious in going back and doing. Myself personally, I do plan on leveling something. I don't know what, because all my tanks will be leveled at that point. But I'm going to level something, basically so I can go do Burning Crusades, because I'm a Wrath baby. That's when I started. And I skipped so much of the Burning Crusade storyline just because I got to go to, you know, Northrend. So I'm looking forward to that. I know Burning Crusade's not all high def and made prettier and all that kind of stuff, but hey, I would want to experience the story because I'm a bit of a lore geek. Last two things we're going to talk about. We got a couple tank changes. Protection Paladins. So, Judgment is no longer going to generate Holy Power. I don't like that, but judging that Judgment already hits, is our hardest hitting spell, and Avenger's Shield is our most iconic spell, I think that may actually be the right decision to try to fit the class fantasy a little bit more. And this is why, because they also added on Avenger's Shield, so when you throw it on the pull, so the first time you're hitting your targets, it's going to generate 2 Holy Power as opposed to 1. This is still going to slow down our Holy Power generation. Again, not going to be able to really tell how that plays until I'm in the beta, or people start testing it in the beta and we get to see it. But what we've been told and what I've seen from watching guys in the alpha is that we are swimming in Holy Power, so I don't think this is going to be a big deal. Also, Hammer of Righteous they had extended the cooldown in Shadowlands. They brought it back into line where it was because there was too much of a downtime where we weren't being able to do anything. Redoubt has been made longer. The talent Sanctified Wrath will now generate 2 Holy Power. Also, just as a reminder, Blessing of the Seasons is gone the way of the dodo. It's out of here. Bye. See you later. I didn't want to talk to you anymore anyways. We have no idea what we're going to get back for that covenant. That's still up in the air. I mean, we only got it told on Wednesday that was going away. So, yeah, I'm sure they knew internally before that interview happened, since he did specifically bring that one up. But we're going to find out what we get. Vengeance Demon Hunter also got some changes. Their Soul Cleave now does 20% more damage, which is good. We really needed more damage as a Vengeance Demon Hunter. We don't do enough damage. Agonizing Flame no longer increases the damage of Immolation Aura, which is bad, but it now increases its duration by 50%. So mathematically, that might make up for it, and I think that may actually be close enough. We may be able to keep our Immolation Aura up 100% with that talent. I really want to see the math on that. That may be close to being able to keep it up 100%, which would be really good. Feast of Souls healing, which is a talent. Healing increased by 25%, so that's good. They want us to get, again, they're pushing us away from Spirit Bomb. They want us to Soul Cleave and Fell Breath and get away from the Spirit Bomb all the friggin' time. So that's why they're doing that. They want your Soul Cleave when you have Feast of Souls to be even better. So that's why they're doing that. Charred Flesh also got redesigned, so it's now makes Immolation Aura now increases duration of Fiery Brand by a half second. I could care less about a half second. I don't even know what is that supposed to do. Anyways, guys, this video is a little longer than I wanted it to be. I'm sorry about that. Just a reminder, the giveaway is still going on. Check out my last video about that, or check out my Facebook. It's pinned to the top of that page, and go ahead and get yourself involved with that. 4 chances to win, $25 gift card. You can win every time. You guys have a wonderful day, evening, whatever time it is, and stay healthy, stay safe, and just keep having a good time, guys. Thanks.